Hello, my name is Keren Tang from the McConnell Foundation, and welcome to our 101. She, her. A traditional Treaty 6 territory, Edmonton, Alberta, Misquitchie, Wisconsin. Social innovation, public health, and politics. It depends on the time of the day. Always phone calls. Kathy Park Hong and her book, Minor Feelings, An Asian American Reckoning. Really enjoy this book because as a diaspora Asian who grew up in the United States and now live and work in Canada, it was particularly resonating with my own lived experience, but as well as a way for me to make sense of all that was happening, particularly during Black Lives Matter. I can't conceive the future of philanthropy without social justice. The future of philanthropy in Canada will be dictated by the youth. Philanthropy can do better by redistributing the power. Grant makers should remember that authentic relationships takes time, energy, and effort to cultivate by being on the ground, hands-on, and being present with the communities that are doing the work, and not always done through coffee. I am hopeful for the next generation of Canadian philanthropy because there are some massive challenges we're grappling with as a society. And I feel being in the field, I can sense the wheels turning in everyone's minds about what does rethinking, reimagining philanthropy could look like. And I think that takes a lot of honesty around power, a lot of honesty about representation, and a lot of honesty about equity. Exasperating, dominoes, and mutual aid. It's exasperating because it's exasperating the systems that we currently have, highlighting the many holes and vulnerabilities that is already there. It's a dominoes effect or rippling effect because from one thing always leads to another that has just massive damages across sectors and society and the economy. And it's mutual aid because I think about the stories that during this very tragic period that really uplift me are the stories about mutual aid among neighbors, among strangers who never talk to each other. And with that, it gives me hope for what recovery and rebuilding could look like. Leaders, experimental and traditional. I think philanthropy as a sector is a leader in so many things. It is going into territories and spaces where traditional funders don't necessarily go into, and I think that's exciting, and I think we need more of that. Experimental, because as I work in social innovation, we get to try a lot of things that I feel like I've never really had the opportunity to in my previous experience with government, with the civil society or nonprofit sectors. And traditional, because I think despite all of that, there are still so many aspects of the field that is still quite traditional. Traditional in how we think about relationships, how we govern, the structure of philanthropy as a field. And oftentimes, even the thinking about hierarchies or organizational structures. So because in many ways it is still traditional, I think there's a lot more we can do to decolonize those pieces, in the words of Edgar Villanueva. Participatory, justice, and decolonizing. I think as our society progresses, there are so many good examples that is all about democratizing decision-making, distributing power down to the people. Within my own work, that's so much about citizen participation. Participatory is a word that comes up over and over again, where, community members and perhaps traditional institutions learning to re-engage with each other, learning how to work with each other in different ways. But a lot of that is very peer-to-peer. shoulder to shoulder. And I think philanthropy can be the same, where we don't always have to show up as funders. We can show up as partners, as equals. But that means we need to decolonize and redefine how this particular structure of philanthropy is. And I think there are movements around that, and we need more of that. One of the things I've seen in my work with the McConnell Foundation, but also observing as a board member with the Edmonton Community Foundation, is the speed at which foundations and philanthropy can really move when there is a crisis. COVID-19, there's a number of rapid response funds that have kind of sprung up. And the way that they're being deployed, there's a commitment to deploying these funds agilely and very quickly. And if we can do this during crisis, I think we can take a similar approach during non-crisis time. So that was a really big takeaway. And because of the speed of deployment, I think the impact to the communities has been tremendous, helping communities get the resources to the people who need them, making sure that their doors can still remain open for those who needs access, but at the same time never stopping to think about the path forward, and ahead and even beyond this crisis. And I think if we can act in that way, we can certainly act in that way when it comes to bigger crises like climate change. Philanthropy as a whole, as a field, have to rethink about the sources of its wealth, about how it's being, distributed, about the relationship of those making the decisions with this wealth and those who are receiving it. And I think without honest conversation about those, we can't ever really achieve equity and justice. In 2017, I ran for city council in Edmonton, and I ran on a platform about social determinants of health. And oftentimes when people ask me at the doors, what does that mean? I talk about it in the sense of healthy communities. Well, what does that mean? And to me, a healthy community is one where everybody has, a stable job that pays a living wage, that can put nutritious and healthy food on the table, that everybody and all the children have, quality education, that we are living in homes that we want to stay in, that is safe. I think COVID-19 is a symptom of this larger crisis, one that we're facing as a planet, as a society, as people. And I hope that the momentum that we have currently societally with our governments, with all sectors, private, public, philanthropic, the momentum we have in addressing COVID, we can maintain that momentum and even amplify that momentum towards climate action. Philanthropy is a catalyst. At least in the work that I've seen, philanthropy is a catalyst to ignite, to spark different kinds of ideas, to bring people together, to make connections of perhaps efforts that are happening in isolation, particularly when it comes to climate action. I think it's important that philanthropy reflects the makeup of our communities, and private and community foundations oftentimes, almost always do not reflect the general public. And as Canada becomes more and more diverse, I think there's a greater mandate to do that. I think if we have better representation, then we can also engage in stronger conversations about governance structure and how can we distribute the power better to service the needs that, in our communities. I think about diversity, equity, and inclusion all the time. Because I think it is needed not only in the philanthropic sector, but in all realms of, our society. When we have sectors, and fields staffed with people who look and understand the needs of diverse communities, I think that can lead to stronger impact. sometimes it's not enough just to have representation, because we either don't have the critical mass for it, or like the system just, you just become the system no matter how well-intentioned you are. No matter how hard you try, the barriers are always going to be there. So without that fundamental structural change, kind of going back to that other question, diversity, equity, inclusion is just, a nice saying that we keep saying, but it's very hard to enact. I think the issue with a lot of programs, services, policies, the way they are conceived and delivered, has so much to do with a focus on institutions. What institutions, that also includes nonprofit organizations, that includes governments, that includes service providers, often centering on what they have to offer. But instead, I feel like that needs to be flipped to focus on the needs of people and individuals. That doesn't always match with what institutions have to offer. And so I think that's a very fundamental change. Still stressful. Thanks for coming to my one-on-one.